Welcome to another edition of the Artist Bloc podcast. I am your host, Watricia Schuler, and today we have a very special guest, multi-talented poet, rapper, all-around artpreneur. Give it up for T. Walker.
Peace and
Yes,
love. I'm
yeah.
glad to be here. I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate you having me.
No, I love you as a rapper. I don't know if I told you that as an artist,
Mm-hmm.
but particularly hip hop as a rapper, you perform as if you respect and honor and study the culture. And in
Fact.
this day and time, that's beautiful. So I really appreciate that about you.
No doubt.
Yes.
I love the culture, so I feel like I'm responsible for upholding, you know what I mean, certain, rules, and morals and
Yeah.
things within the culture. And then I'm in a space where, J. Cole got the song Middle Child. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm in that space right now where like I'm soaking in game from elders and people
Mhm.
wiser than me, but I got young people watching me.
Mhm.
So I'm like, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Whatever level you're on, wherever you trying to get to, this is how you do it,
Yeah.
and I got to be an example of that.
Yeah, you got it, man. You
For
got
sure.
it,
I
you know what I'm
appreciate
saying?
it.
And I'm drifting off a little bit, but I feel like with artistry and people, like you can hear it, like you can hear the gift. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a difference in the tone and the approach, and you got that.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, but anyway, so talk to us about a young T. Walker. How did
Yeah.
you first discover your love for art, and what made you decide like I'm gonna take this serious and become a professional within it?
So I've always like been creative, like even when it came to taking apart, toy cars and putting them back together. I always had this like knack for being creative and maybe even rearranging, how that car worked. So it worked the same way with me with music. I sang in a church choir. I got introduced into. I can't sing.
Okay.
I can do a little something though.
Okay.
I got that training early to try it out.
Mhm.
Because I was just playing around. One
Mhm.
day. And that playing around pushed me to the front.
Mhm.
Because I ended up having to lead a song because of my jokes and my antics.
Oh, snap.
So it kind of put me in the front
Mhm.
early. And it was in the front. The way that athletics, was not. With playing basketball, it's a team sport, and people are watching you. But I can easily be off of you, in a second, versus like being in front and leading the song. That was a whole different vibe, and it was a different type of leadership skill, that I didn't really notice that was being developed, but it was, and that's kind of really how I got, pushed into it. I played in the band, so I wanted to play the drums, but my band teacher was like, we got enough, people on percussion. Are you interested in trying out another instrument? So I was like, cool, and I started playing the baritone.
Nice.
And then I moved up to the tuba.
Nice.
But I never learned how to read music.
Really?
I never learned how to read music.
Even though you were in band class?
Even though I was in band class. I knew how to memorize certain things. So a B flat scale, I can remember all the buttons that needed to be pressed. But then I would also connect those buttons to sounds. So I would kind of have to do it like that. Not as good as Nick Cannon did in Drumline.
Yeah.
But something like to that degree, and it would just be certain things I would remember. So that just stuck with me. But I think that all went into like the development of me as an artist. Like being able to listen to beats and hear maybe something else that the producer might have, put in there, but the regular ear isn't going to hear. So I use that to now, what I took from singing in the church choir or leading a song. And now I got these melodies, in my mind that I'm used to, using, so I will combine that with the sound, of the instrument, and just continue to go from there. And those were just, some things that helped develop me young. The music that was playing, in the house. My mom listened to a lot of hip hop and R&B.
Yeah.
We watch hip hop, movies, The Menace to Society, Boys in Hood. So the culture, was being developed, within me, like that. So my parents played a role. My family, my aunt was the one that pushed me into music. She was like, anything you do with band, I'll pay for it.
Wow.
So going to Hampton band camp, having to rent out instruments to bring home and practice. My other aunt, was one of the directors in the choir.
Yeah.
My mom playing the music, my dad introducing me to DMX. So I don't know, all those things played a role into the development, and then other things would happen.
Yeah. Nice. So that was up until like high school.
Which part?
What you just said was like with band and all that up until high school?
Yeah,
like,
up until well, I played in the band throughout high school, but I stayed in the regular band all throughout high school. I did marching band my freshman year. And I was
high school?
And I was in a traditional style type band.
Yeah.
So I wasn't feeling that, you know, especially after going to Hampton band camp and like playing with the vibes, you know, and then like coming back and being like, man, this is boring. You know, we doing these regular ass formations and all this, like, you know, so, but I still loved the music part of it. So I stayed in the band and did jazz band and stuff like that. And then in the choir, I was up until, you know, I graduated high school.
Gotcha. So when you got to that level in high school as a senior, did you decide then you want to be a professional artist, or you still was on the journey? Because you went to Winston.
Yeah.
Right?
I was still on a journey. So while I was in high school, you know, some of my homies, I was an athlete, you know, playing basketball, running track. And some of my homies were musicians. They were artists. They were rappers. You know, so being around this group, the Versatile Kings, they used to record music, and I would be around, you know, and I loved the fact that, like, I knew these people that were actually creating music, going to the studio, bring it back, might come knock on my door like, yo, come hear this. So I kind of felt like I was a part of that process. I was selling the CDs at my school. You know, I was promote like the parties or their shows. So I was kind of becoming a part of like the music business at the same time. It was certain things that I was learning within that. And then one day, one of my partners at the time, he go by Shy, now S. Case. I don't know what it was, you know, they were just all rapping, and I was telling them, like, I can rap. You know, I can rap. And he was like, man, you can't rap. You a basketball player. You know, so I just remember going back to their house and rapping in the living room for like an hour straight.
Wow.
For like an hour straight. Freestyling.
Wow.
We were going back and forth for like an hour straight. And they were like, oh, shit. Okay. you I guess you actually can rap.
Right.
You know, and then it just continued to grow from there. It really took off to a whole nother level once I got to college. You know, because my roommate, Tony Dice, you know, he brought his studio with him, you know, freshman year. So I'm in there seeing him record music. I'm dropping verses. You know, one of the first things, you know, that introduced me to people, you know, during freshman orientation was freestyle battles, you know, and stuff like that, you know. So that's kind of where I developed some confidence too, because I was winning, you know, I was doing my thing. So I was like, okay, I can really do this, you know. So it started there. You know, I ended up losing a battle, you know, but it didn't hurt me.
Right.
It made me look at the game differently, because I looked at how this person was like preparing for the battle. You know, he had verses and things ready, and he did like research on the girl I was talking to at the time and all this. I'm like, dang, I wasn't prepared for that, you know, but I was coming with all freestyles off the top of my head, you know, and was still doing my thing. But like, it let me know some other things about this game, about being prepared. And I just was, you know, continuing. That was part of my study of the game, you know, experience while looking at other things.
Yeah. That's so deep that you said that. I feel like I heard another artist that was a battle rapper talk about that. Like, they would go and research their opponent so they can have information about it.
Yeah.
But like, that's such a great strategy though.
It is. But like, you know, I used to watch like Smack DVD and stuff like that. So I would, you know, see them do their freestyles, but the whole crowd would like know, you know, so it meant it wasn't always off the top. But nonetheless, you see other battles where people would be like, in your mom from 61st and this and that. And you're like, all right, like, he had to do some research, but I didn't take heed to that until like I got smacked around in my own battle a little bit. And was like, okay, this how it go.
Yeah.
All right, bet.
Yeah. Nice. Did you want to be a battle rapper? Because you're talking about that, because I didn't think that, you know, I just never thought about you as a battle rapper.
Right.
Is that like I've come to realize that it's different lanes for you to be in as an artist and in that genre of artistry. So it is some MCs who just want to be battle rappers, you know what I'm saying, versus people who want to be like artists. Yeah.
Nah, it wasn't something that I, you know, just had a desire to do. That was the access I had at that time. I didn't know how to get on stages or get on shows. I didn't know about open mics and things of that nature. So the closest thing to me was ciphers. And then sometimes those ciphers would turn into battles, because now it's like, this person, he say he the best, So now y'all kind of going at each other.
Yeah.
And that was, it's all part of the culture, you know, so that kind of, not like I said, helped develop the confidence, but then also like the that aggression, you know, or that cockiness, that arrogance that you might hear, you know what I mean, from artists sometimes. That was the time to like flex that and develop that too, you know. So that's just where pieces of certain things, you know, began and started.
Nice.
You know, on top of my guy named Marcus, he was a producer, and he would always just cook up beats and call me like, yo, come check this out. So it was a point in time where like I just had my own producer, and he introduced me to studios and engineering and stuff like that. So I was just learning, you know. It was a crazy process, you know, but I was learning and then spending a bunch of money on studio time.
Yeah. That was gonna be my next question, kind of segue into, is like, how did you discover the other components? Like, because you said you had to discover open mics. I never even thought about that as an artist, that you do have to be introduced to the concept of open mics if you don't know they exist. You know what I'm saying? So how was that process of discovery?
So getting introduced to a studio was crazy, you know, because again, like I said, my freshman roommate, he had a studio that he built in the room. So, you know, recording there, you know, was like, all right, cool, you know, doing this. And then my guy Neiman took me to a guy named Blue, his studio in Winston. And, you know, we pulled up to his house, but he had his whole garage set up with the boards, the separate room, you know, for recording. So it made me feel like a real artist. And so it made me take what I was doing much more serious.
Gotcha.
You know, because then, you know, we're recording with my guy, like I'd have verses and I'd go record them. I'd find, you know, beats that Wayne or Jay-Z or Kanye or somebody might have spit on, and just, you know, mixtape style, you know, going there freestyle, you know. But like being in the studio made me feel like a real artist, and so I had to take it serious. And then you get that it's 30 an hour on top of that, so it's like, all right, I take my money serious too.
Right.
So like my time, you know, is very important. So I got 4 hours in here. Let me do this and perfect it, and it kind of made me like begin to prepare before I got to the studio. So I encourage artist development, you know, because I feel like part of this was all a part of my artist development. I didn't get introduced to open mics until I left Winston-Salem State.
Let me backtrack a little bit, because you said when you first got into there, you was doing a Lil Wayne mixtape drought series vibe, right?
Yeah.
Did they teach you how to write a song? Because that's different from just going in there and spitting. You know what I'm saying? No? Okay.
Nah, he was learning what he was doing as well. You know, I mean, as far as producing, he knew this other dude whose studio he could go to and learn from. So me, I was really just inspired by other people, you know, like a Wayne, Jay, Kanye, and kind of maybe mimicking some of those styles until I like developed my own. But I never learned like what 16 bars or anything like that was. But math was always my favorite subject. So everything to me is numbers. So I was able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in the verse hook.
Gotcha.
So like that stuck with me because of numbers.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're self-taught in a lot of areas of this.
Yeah, a good portion of it.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you said using the studio situation, you didn't get introduced to the open mics after Winston. Was it during this time that you decided, like, you know what, I really love music, forget all this other stuff I'm trying to do, I'm gonna purely focus on this and let me figure out how to do that?
Then was some of the times where I thought that I like, all right, boom, I'm about to blow up, I'm gonna be on by next year. So I would like quit jobs and then solely focus on music and then be broke.
Yeah.
You know? So it was times where I was trying it out, but it made me constantly like figure it out, you know, because I had done shows while I was at Winston-Salem State. I had been part of showcases. I ended up being part of a music group 24/7. So we were doing shows, but I wasn't in charge of like putting the shows together. You know, I was just like, all right, we booked on this date, we here. It was when I moved to Delaware that I had to find places to perform. So now I had to find places where I could sign up. Open mics. Okay, I'm learning people selling their CDs, people selling T-shirts. So I go to Target, you know, get a bunch of blank CDs and CD cases, press them up. Now at my shows, I got CDs. My group had merch. So I called my mans in Carolina, like, I need shirts, I need hoodies, like, you know, send me a package, you know. So now I'm selling those, you know, to go along with the music. So in discovering the open mics, I was watching these other artists and how they were making money. Because I mean, you might pay to get into the open mic, you know. So I mean, unless you networking, you know, and really like making connections, then you losing money, you know. So I'm about like, all right, how can I monetize this? Like, I need money. I'm trying to figure out how this works, you know. So I just started selling CDs, the hoodies, and that one of my guys from Wilmington, North Carolina, AYP, introduced me to somebody that was going to be doing some shows in Delaware. So he was like, they pay the artists, you know, I think it was like $100, and then give them a few tickets. And the first like show I did with them that I headlined, I mean, Wise Intelligent from Poor Righteous Teachers was headlining. Nice. You know, so the crowd was already going to be there. I just had to promote, come there, get some money, you know, and put on a great show. And it was a phenomenal experience, you know, being able to like use everything I had learned from Winston-Salem State, doing a few open mics to be able to like control that crowd, you know, and it was beautiful. So with them, I kept doing other shows with them. I ended up in Atlantic City, Newark, New Jersey, you know, doing shows with them. Sometimes by myself, you know, I didn't have my car up there, so I rent a car, drive to Atlantic City, you know, Dolo, you know what I mean, or with my guy Mook, you know, and go, you know, do a show up there, get my $100, sell some shirts, sell some CDs, pass out some cards, you know, because at that time I'm seeing people pass out cards. So I'm like, all right, I need cards. You know, I don't know if people going to use them, but I need cards. So Vistaprint I went and got me some cards and just continue to connect from there. It was a constant learning process because sometimes I'd make a lot of money. Sometimes I wouldn't make any money, you know, other than the 100, you know what I mean? But driving to Atlantic City 4-5 hours, get a rental car, I might be breaking even. Right. So I'm like, all right, how can I not break even? You know, how can I like make, you know, money? So it was a cool journey, you know what I mean, that I'm still on. But like all of that, like looking back at it in retrospect, it was a lot of education, you know, in that. Yeah.
It's so interesting that you said it, because I've seen artists sell merch, because, you know, we had an Artist Bloc, but I never it never connected for me fully to last Friday when Kelsey was here. And she was the feature, you know, but she also set up a merch table in the back. So I was thinking, that is so smart, you know what I'm saying? Like, you the feature, so you get paid for that, but then you also got your merch table, so you get more money for that, and you getting a new crowd of following, because before she performed, it was a couple people. After she performed, it was a lot of people. So it's like you're marketing and selling yourself at the same time. You know, and I think that's like a little jewel or a little secret, like with artistry, is that you have to be clever and creative in the ways to make money. Because I feel like the world tells you got to be a superstar to make money, you know, but that's not true. You just got to understand the game, understand how to work the game to make money in it.
I think it was it Tyler Creator? It might have been him or another rapper. I can't remember who, but like, no, Kodak Black said he made $1 million off of socks. I made $1 million off socks. Yeah, I had to remember the cadence, but like off of socks, you know, not his raps. You know, I have an old verse that says my raps on my business card, because sometimes just me being on stage gets me in the door. But like, now that I'm in the door, you know what I'm saying, what's next? Maybe I can sell y'all some socks too, or some hats, or some water, or anything, you know what I mean? But like, I definitely encourage artists to have some merchandise.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. For sure. Definitely agree with that. Okay, so you own your journey, you do that, now you're understanding. I'm assuming you're becoming a better artist in general with just the art, and then you're also understanding how to become an artpreneur, a businessman within the industry. What was next? What happened next to move you forward?
So,
and I just thought about something else. Let me back up, because also another thing I've learned recently is that you have to figure out, you know, not necessarily what type of artist you want to be in terms of, like, we're talking about a battle rap or artist, but figure out, I guess, the level of artistry you want to be at. Like, you can strive to be a Jay-Z, or you can try to be a Tyler Kweli, or you can strive to be a Chance the Rapper. You know, everybody has their own approach to the industry. Were you thinking about that during that time?
I was, you know, because I'm looking at some of my favorite rappers. Now, I was able to develop a balance within where I wanted to be, because I loved Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, Kanye, so they were superstars. But then I listened to an artist like Zero, who's from Houston. Have you heard of Zero?
Mm-mm.
See, but in Houston, he made so much money in Texas. Texas is the biggest state, of course, but he was able to capture his audience. A group by the name of Do or Die from Chicago that I heard of through Kanye. Twister.
That's not Poe Pimpin', is it? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, that's them.
Yeah.
You know, but they weren't superstars. It wasn't like the whole world knew them, but they were able to capture their audience. So I was, you know, I would battle with do I want to be famous, or do I just want to be able to like be a full-time artist, you know, and make a living, you know. And that was things like, with that thought, you know, I was working out those kinks, you know, the whole time, because I'm looking at what's going on with famous people, or what's going on with these artists that's able to fly under that famous radar and still make a living and take care of their family, but also branch off into other avenues. So I was looking at that, you know, the way Diddy would have a Ciroc, you know, and like, okay, you know, so you can use this to branch off into other places. Manifestation is powerful. Like I said, I had that verse that was like, my raps are just my business card. I had no idea that would literally be for real. You know, so I use stages sometimes to sell other products. You know, so the fame is like, do I want to be famous, or do I want to be able to just, you know, be a full-time artist and entrepreneur, you know, and live the way that I want to live. You know, so I still balance, you know, within between that, you know, sometimes where it's like, because you want people to like, on my music side, it's like, I need people to like hear this and know who I am and appreciate this. But then there's a whole nother part of me, you know, that where I curate art galleries and stuff like that, where I'm like, nah, I want people to know this platform because that displays other artists.
You say you are selling a brand. Would you say it from that perspective?
Absent brands. You know, I feel like it's several different brands within it. Because it's people that don't even know I rap. You know, it's people that like, because within this past year, it's been water.
Okay.
You know, so it's a whole new group of people that I meet doing that might hear me do a poem and then be like, you do that too? You know, versus the people that rap and then like, oh, you selling water too?
Yeah.
You art galleries too? So it's a crazy weave. So I feel like it's multiple brands, you know, under one huge brand, I guess.
Yeah. Under the T. Walker brand, it's like different branches within that. Yeah. Okay. Which brings us to the next question. So, because you talked about your career as an artist, as a vocal artist, as a rapper, and as a poet. How did the art gallery component come into there? And how did the water component come into there?
So the art actually came with poetry because as I was, you know, rapping, I had people that would tell me like, you have like a poetic vibe, you know, you should try poetry. But I hadn't seen poets that looked like me, you know, at that time, you know, the Edgar Allan Poes and all that, they were like cool. There was some stuff in there, but like, I couldn't relate to it.
Right.
You know, so while being in Delaware, I was dating an artist, you know, who was a poet and a painter. You know, so, and I ended up going to some poetry shows with her. And I saw Teresa Songbird. I saw Black Ice in Philly.
Black
There's a Georgia May. You know, I saw her and it was a whole nother vibe, you know, being in Philly, you know, being in this neo soul, you know, type of space where it's nothing but black love and incense and all of that, you know, and you might see some dashikis, you might see somebody in there hoodied up, you know, but somebody go on the mic and kill it. And it would not be a rap, it would be poetry, but it was a vibe that I felt in a whole nother way. And I had connected to that once before with the group that I was, you know, in while I was living in North Carolina. That's how I got introduced to Desana Hanu. And he had actually done the intro for our album. But that was like an anomaly. Like I was like, how many Desana Hanus do you find? You feel me? Until I got up there and then was like, oh, it's a whole bunch of like dope poets. So, and the girl I was dating was a phenomenal poet. You know, so I started to see that, and so I began to like take stabs at it. But there were certain venues I would try, you know, to do my music. And they were like, nah, we don't do rap. So that's what pushed me into poetry. You know, I would just be like, all right, cool. I would go up there and do my raps just without the music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Fast forward, I moved back to North Carolina. I meet a brother by the name of Life. At a poetry slam. I mean, I saw him performing. When he walked off, me and King, we had to go holler at this man like, yo, we've never seen anything like this. You know, and from there, I was doing an art gallery. You know, and I had experienced art galleries living in Delaware, Philadelphia. Like I said, I was dating an artist, and I'm seeing she can sell one of her works for like $400, $500, and I'm like, she's able to create her job like with her hands, and I'm literally listening sometimes to her complain about her job, and sometimes complete these pieces very slow. And I'm like, yo, if you finish some of these, I'm doing the math. I'm like, maybe if you do 2 of these a week, you can relax the way that you want to relax while doing this thing that's your passion and pay your bills. You know what I mean? This will probably actually be more than that paycheck and stress that they giving you at your job. So fast forward, I moved back to North Carolina, and I do an art gallery. You know, at a tattoo shop. You know, I built one at a peace festival that we had out of plywood. Nice. You know, and my homegirl Keisha Keys, she was an artist who she just had like art just sitting around the house because people don't recognize art, you know what I mean, in my hometown. So I was like, I'm gonna display your work. You know, so I built that. Fast forward, I ended up getting a free space to being able to do the art gallery. And from there, life was coming one night. So the first night I did the art gallery, I did my music. The next night, the next time we did it, life was coming. And I was like, I'm gonna take a stab at this poetry thing in front of him. And I did America the Zoo, and I killed it, and people loved it. And from there, like, that was like, I had a lot of raps, but that was the only one that felt like a poem. And then like I would just go places doing that one poem, you know, for the longest. But that kind of helped me develop confidence in the world of poetry, because I would step into this room where these poets have been doing this for years, and they killing it and they sharp with it, you know. So along with like doing that, then I had to develop something that made me stand out within it. So now I just began to combine the poetry and the art all together, but they gave me a whole nother lane of being a creative, you know. So whenever I was like, I don't necessarily feel like I get writer's block anymore, I might just get drained in that space. I'll just move over to my next creative outlet. You know, I say it's like water, you know what I mean? If you put a rock there, that might stop that flow, but it's just gonna flow in another direction. Right. So I just flow into a gallery, you know what I mean? Or flow into, you know, a book, you know, or something like that. And we found each other, you know, those avenues.
Pause. You wrote a book?
I'm in the middle of writing one. I started one, and I thought I completed it, but something just didn't feel right about it. So I left it alone for a while, and now I'm getting right back into it. Like now. Yeah.
Love the versatility. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Love the versatility. And I totally agree with that concept of, if you are exhausted in one component of creativity, just find another avenue to express yourself. And I never thought about it in that phrasing, you know what I'm saying? But I agree with that.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped you free yourself, because you can beat yourself up like, why don't I have this inspiration right now? Why can't I write something right now? And then you'll try to force it, and it's like, I ain't trying to force anything, you know what I mean? I'm trying to go where the energy is flowing.
Right. Yeah. Dope. Didn't know about the book, but I could totally see you doing that, though.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Coming soon.
Yeah. And a term I'm learning a lot about now is intellectual property. So aside from your music and your poetry, a book is also a form of intellectual property.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That will live forever. So yeah, for sure. Okay. So talk to me about the water. How did that come about?
So here we are in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, and I was in the middle of, I had just finished my tour, but I was still getting calls to add dates, you know, so I was getting ready I had just got back from Seattle. Then I had got booked for some events. Pandemic hits, everything is shut down. So what I was doing in schools, and I was just getting a good flow of getting like paid shows, you know, because like I would have shows here and there that were paid, sometimes not, but I was in a good flow, and then we get shut down. So I'm like, man, what is going on? But me and my bro, we have our nonprofit S.O.U.L Society, you know, so within that, it's all about education and inspiring young people through arts or just through life. So we were, you know, already looking to connect with farmers, you know, just for something like this, you know, if the world collapsed on us, you know, can we self-sustain? You know, so when we figure one of the greatest ways to make sure like our generation, you know, can last and self-sustain is to teach it to young people, you know, who have more time, you know, to soak these things up. You know, we got other real life things, bills, kids, nieces, nephews, all this. So they don't have that. So it's like, let's teach them. So in the event something happens, they know it, but they can also teach us, you know, as well. So in the process of looking for these different farmers, we've connected with Kamal Bell, who has Sankofa Farms. And me and Ari Child, we were having a conversation about this brother before with an alkaline water stream, but I had no clue what the hell alkaline water was. So I'm like, spring water? You know, but this was years ago, you know, so in this process of looking for this land, we get introduced to Chief, you know, and we go out there, check out like the operation and what's going on and all the communal aspects, you know, of things going on the land. But here's this water, you know, and the story about how, you know, he discovered these aquifers, or how the aquifers came to him, you know, was interesting. Like, I loved it. I was inspired, you know. So now we were trying to figure out different ways, you know, because he was allowing other people to sell the water, you know. So we were looking for other ways to not only like sell the water, but like turn it up a notch, take things to another level. So we began to develop a relationship. Bro got some water from him because he was out there working with him for a few days for free. They dropped 20 gallons on him.
Wow.
And it's been on ever since. You know, it was like those 20 gallons were gone. He ain't even think how he was gonna get them gone. They got gone. You know, he goes back and fills up the car with gallons, and then from there, you know, we just kept building. And me, I'm always trying to figure like, all right, cool, how can we take this a whole nother space? Because people were like, can y'all ship this to us? So we were like, yeah. So I had developed a space on my website and just made it where people could order it online. You know, we began to ship it. He gave us so much access to be like set up other distributors or connect with other stores, you know, because he like, y'all young people, you know what I mean? Like, get out there and do your thing. So, I mean, he gave us like really the key to the company, you know, and was like, do what y'all want to do. You know what I mean? Y'all know what's in alignment, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, and I know y'all not going to do anything to tarnish the company. So we might get, you know, holler at him about the idea, and it's checked before we ask the question.
Yeah.
You know, so can we set up other distributors? Cool. Yeah, do that. Can we get it in other stores? Yeah, do that. You know, from the website to developing merchandise. Now we the creative directors of all the merchandise and all of that. So it took utilizing the things that we already knew. We've been selling things like forever. We're entrepreneur. Our grandfather, you know what I mean, did that. My dad, you know what I mean, our uncles, entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? So it was a matter of like getting this in our hands, learning about it, and then turning it up a whole nother notch.
Nice.
And our foot on the gas like crazy. It's selling right now, and I'm right here.
Yeah. I see it everywhere.
For
and
sure.
I hear people talk about it everywhere. So yeah. And I thought it was so smart. It reminds me of 50 Cent. How he started selling vitamin water. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it's good for you and it's healthy. And I feel like it still goes in alignment with your brand.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And who you are and what you represent. So yeah, that's dope.
That was really a whole nother key component. It was like it came to us. You know, we had been searching for it, and it met us halfway. Because all we had to do was go out there. It had been here. It ain't like the land just landed there. It been there. So we had to continue to make connections, have conversations with people, but also let people know what it was we trying to do. We trying to find land. You know, we trying to find people with it so that we can learn from this and that. And we put it out there so much that it was like, cool, come here. And it came perfect timing because you could have went to a store and it could have been sold out. Water. You know what I mean? You could have had $1 million in your pocket, but you wouldn't have been able to get water.
Right.
We had water.
Right.
You know, an essential source.
Right.
So it's like, and it's infinite, you know, so it's like, how can you go wrong? Right. You know what I mean? And we don't just have any water. So it's like, bet, you know, another locked in thing. And then just to be able to have so many keys to be able to do so many creative things with it, it's right down my alley.
Nice, nice. It makes me think about another thing before we get into the playbook. As a entrepreneur and a salesman in particular, do you have a method for when you're selling people things?
I just make people like me. I mean, essentially, you know, because I mean, I might come up with these crazy jingles, black on water from black on land. Might as well get it from the black man. So like the moment I say that to somebody, sometimes they might be like, yo, I like that. Yeah. And then they stop. And because you stopped, the heat is on now. I'm selling to you. Gotcha. If you still walking, you might hear me faintly, but I've yo-yoed so many people back in, you know, just by like throwing things out there like that. Yeah. It came natural, but it also went with me learning it too, you know, because it was natural. But then I learned like people buy things from people they like.
True that.
You know, so like them liking me, you know, made them even hear what I had to say. Yeah. And from there, sometimes they ain't even care. They were like, yo, all right, how much is the water? Yeah. I ain't even have to get into it's black on land on a mineral-based bed property, and we the first black on water company to do all that. Sometimes they ain't even care about that. It's like, how much is the water? I rock with you. Yeah. And it's bought, you know, from there. Nice. So I just encourage people to be likable. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've seen people walk past booths and I might look at the vendor and the vendor just like sitting there looking at them. Yeah. And it's like, I'd probably walk past them too. Yeah. Cause I mean, I'm gonna probably speak to you, but I mean, what you about to say back, you know, to like make me stay, you know, like a hey ain't enough. Right. You know, somebody might be there to go holler at somebody else. But since you there, come holler at me, right. You know? So be likable.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's move into our next session, which I've recently coined the playbook. Okay. And the playbook is where you give 5 practical, actionable steps for a person to become an entrepreneur and get into this game. Okay. Yeah. So what would those steps be from Professor T. Walker's course?
I say define your purpose. You know, just figure out what are you doing this for? I think that eliminates a lot of confusion, you know, around, you know, where you headed. Let
me pause on that.
Got you.
Because I had a conversation a few episodes back with another person about this concept of purpose, right? And how sometimes I think that people believe something is their purpose, but it's not necessarily their purpose. Right. It might be a talent or a skill. It's not necessarily your purpose. When you say identify your purpose, are you saying that in terms of if this is your purpose or part of your purpose, or in terms of the purpose of you doing it?
The purpose of you doing it.
Okay.
Because I think your life purpose is bigger than your purpose for this particular entity. So my purpose with this water is different than what my life purpose is here for. I think my life purpose branches off into these other pieces of purposes. You know, so I'll say, what if you because my purpose with art galleries is different than my purpose with music. You know, so those have different purposes. Gotcha. So define your purpose. And then you can, and within that you can eliminate even some of that confusion too. Like, what am I doing this for? And maybe you can ask yourself, is this my life purpose, or this purpose just fit for this lane? That way you don't just box yourself in like, all right, I'm just here to tell stories, because then you might not, you know, branch off into other things as well, where you can develop other parts of your purpose.
Gotcha. I like that.
Develop your audience, you know, is another one, you know, because who you trying to talk to, you know, because that can become really confusing. And that was for me, you know, trying to go into rooms because I just wanted to be on stage, and I'm amongst a group of people that really ain't trying to hear what I got to say. You know, so that don't mean don't tell them. That just means I ain't gonna be discouraged if they don't hear me. You know. Yeah. And then I can begin to seek out these places that have the audience that I'm looking for. Now you can like eliminate wasting time by going in here and like, dag, I keep going into these places and they have no clue what I'm trying to do. They don't care what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to paint, you know, for them. So that's a major key.
Yeah. I'll pause before you go see next one.
For
Let
sure.
me think about something else. And I totally agree that you have to find your audience. Do you think that you should adjust to the audience that you find? I mean, if you have that ability, because you were versatile in your journey where you could adjust. But yeah, so let me say that.
I would say, if you can be flexible, be flexible. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, because that's a great trait to have, you know, being flexible, because then you can. So let's say I came into the Artist Bloc, you know, one night, and I came, you know, ready to rap, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I might come on a night, you know, doing one of Carmen Bliss's shows, and I know it's a lot of younger, you know what I mean, folks in there who might be ready to hear this. Mm-hmm. But then I might come, you know, to another, you know what I mean, event y'all have, and it might be more, what's a good term? More sophisticated, you know, you know, and so I'm like, all right, they not trying to hear them raps, you know, so just because I want to get them raps off don't mean I need to get them off that night. Be flexible. I got some poetry for y'all, and I got some vibes for y'all, and I got something that I might just get up here on stage and talk to y'all about as well, you know what I mean, and then y'all might rock with that. And I might come to find out that y'all care about my raps too. Yeah. You know, but because I can be flexible, I'm gonna read the room. You know, I think it's important to be able to read the room, because then sometimes you just look crazy. Like, dang, you couldn't read the room. You couldn't tell, like, all that what you were saying wasn't hitting.
Inappropriate, right?
Yeah, like, so read the room, for sure.
Yeah, that makes me think of a funny story that happened. We used to have a gospel open mic night here when we first opened, because we tried all types of things when we first opened. And one night it was a guy who is a hip hop artist, and he was like, he could lead the gospel night, and we was like, okay, cool. So, you know, we had like, it was legit gospel singers and gospel rappers and whatever. He gets on stage and he just starts like cursing and just saying all types of crazy stuff. People get up and walk out. We stopped, like, what are you doing? You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? He was like, but I love the Lord, or something like that. It's like, player, come on. Like, that was inappropriate. You know what I'm saying, for this audience. So it just made me think about that. Like, it's important to give the appropriate you know, medium for whatever audience that you're in. Don't just think that people are supposed to love you and appreciate you for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean,
facts. Yeah. You know, the deacon that go to the strip club ain't gonna come into church and be like, who trying to go to the club with me?
Right.
Like, he gonna save that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Read the room.
Yeah. That was his craziest thing. I feel like the boy had a problem. Anyway, so get back to you. So we on number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Develop a space where people can buy your stuff. There's plenty of free websites, you know, where you can build a website where people can see your stuff. It does cost, you know, to like use the e-commerce aspect of it, but I would encourage it, especially in this digital world, you know. So even with my music that's online, people can stream it on Tidal, Spotify, all those places, where I get pennies, you know, when they stream them, or they can go to my website and buy the whole album directly from me. You know, and skip past, you know, all those other things, you know. So I mean, utilize those avenues too. But once you define that purpose and develop that audience, send them to your site, you know, to buy your merchandise. You know, like, while I was on tour, I ran out of certain sizes of stuff. So instead of, you know, having to try to double back and hit all these people, I sent them to my website, and some literally opened up the website and ordered right in front of me. So now, you know, it was like, all right, I ain't have to be like, dang, I ain't have enough larges. Yes, dang, I ain't have enough larges, because then, which goes into number 4, you know what I mean, for me, you know, is before you invest in marketing, utilize all of the free marketing you can. You know, that would be number 4. Like, anytime people buy the merch, buy water, you get a picture. You know, and now that's content that I can use, that I can post, that I can tag them in, that they can share for their audience to see. You know, so yeah, so number 3, you know, is you know, have developed that space, you know, that e-commerce, and you know, number 4, you know, is, you know, what did marketing. The marketing, the free marketing, which is key. You know, because I mean, a lot of times as artists starting out, we don't always have the money. You know, some people are blessed, you know what I mean, to have that major investment. But I would still encourage free marketing then, like, put that money in other places. Right. You know, every time somebody buy this, you know how many pictures I got that I still haven't posted yet? Yeah. So on a day I might get bored, you know what I mean, and think about what I need to post today. I find a picture of somebody with some water. Yeah. throw it up with a caption, maybe throw some music behind it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if I just so happen to know them or they follow me,
Mm-hmm.
tag them,
Yeah.
and then get it shared, and then I might get a notification that something has been ordered from the site.
Nice.
You know, something like that. You know, rare cases, you know what I mean, but nonetheless, the free marketing.
Right.
Number 5, I just encourage stay creative. You know, I think that's a forgotten one, maybe. You know what I mean? As creative, it's almost like, all right, cool. Of course I'm a creative. I'm going to create. But I think like you have certain people that might quit, you know, because I'll use hip hop. You know, people feel like they might age out, you know, because they didn't make it, you know, at a certain time. It's old rock stars, you know, but I've also seen a lot of people transition from hip hop into poetry as well, because they didn't want to necessarily give up the art form. So like stay creative, you know, and if hip hop isn't working for you as the person in front or as the voice, are you a good engineer? You know, can you mix, you know what I mean, music well? I mean, do you paint? Like what other things do you do? But like stay creative, you know, and then that'll also lead you to whatever next venture. Yeah. You know, because I mean, 2 people might only like this thing, and then it might be 5, and then you never know. Some people go viral by accident, you know, if that's what you're looking to do. But just stay creative, you know, and discouragement, you know what I mean, happens, you know, but you know, fight through that like we do everything else, you know, from mental illness to financial situations. Fight through it and, you know, keep creating.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. For sure. I loved your 5.
No doubt.
And I was thinking like the concept of having to reinvent yourself with the times as you grow, you know, and as you grow and mature and change yourself. Yeah. Because that happens. You know, you don't think about that when you're young, but then you grow up and you realize like what I liked when I was 20, I don't necessarily like when I'm 30. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you shouldn't. Honestly, you should be growing as you go. You know, I mean, not that you shouldn't like it, but you know, you should still be growing and evolving within it as you go. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we stagnate ourselves, you know, sometimes.
Yeah. I had a question. So with the merch, with the t-shirts, do you buy in bulk to have all that merch there, or do you do like was it drop shipping? You know what I'm talking about?
I do both.
You do both?
I do both.
Interesting.
Because sometimes it's people I can't reach. You know, so if they on the West Coast or in another country, and I, you know, I'm not there, I much rather them be able to order it and get it shipped, you know, right to them. And then sometimes I prefer that so that I can keep whatever merch I have on hand. You know, that way if I'm vending somewhere, I'm gonna need all them, you know, with me. Right. You know, so I do both.
That's smart. Yes.
Yeah, I got to keep it flowing. I love options. Yeah. You know, so what E40 say, everybody got choices.
Yeah. True that. Nice. Well, I have enjoyed you being on the show today. I've learned so much. No doubt. I love that because I like to learn because I'm a teacher.
For sure. I appreciate you having me. I had a good time.
Good. Okay, so you just gave them the course, your syllabus for your course. What's the homework they need to do tonight before they come into your course tomorrow at beginning?
The homework they need to do I would encourage them to find 3 people that have had either listened to your music or purchase some of your merch or purchase some of your product. Get them to take a picture, tag you in it when they post it, or just send it to you for you to post. And there goes, you can start on with step 4. You know what I mean? Already get you some free content. Yeah. You know, so before you come to class, I need to see that these 3 people have been tagged or these 3 posts have happened.
Nice. Love that. Yes.
For sure.
Okay. Let the people know how they can get in contact with you and how they can purchase merch, you know, shirts, water, CDs, all that.
So I'm T Walker NC on everything.
Turn the camera right there.
I'm T Walker NC on everything from Snapchat, the Cash App, and everything in between. If you want to purchase some water, you want to purchase some clothing, you want to purchase my music, you can go to my website, heavyenergyuniversity.com, and you can find everything there. If you want to donate to my nonprofit, you'll find those options there, all at heavyenergyuniversity.com. So tap in, get you some merch. We have some new hoodies and sweaters, that are coming, as these seasons are changing, but you're going to always need some hydration for the elevation of your situation. So get you some live alkaline water. We ship all over the country. We do subscriptions. If you like the 5-gallon, containers for your office or your home, we deliver those. We'll come get your old one and drop you off a new one every month. We have distributors throughout the country as well. So if you need somebody close to you that can get you some water quicker than we can ship it, we can make it happen.
Nice. Yeah. Your voice is very soothing too. I feel like that helps with your selling.
I think it does too.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah, it works, and I try to use it, like, okay.
You should probably do like audiobooks or like voiceovers, like as another stream.
When I'm trying to get Morgan Freeman to pass me that torch, because I really want to do the voiceovers for National Geographic.
That'd be dope.
I would love to do the ones for National Geographic. So what I'm gonna probably start doing myself is just taking like animal clips and stripping the audio, and just throwing my own audio over them.
I can totally see that.
But I would love to like do that, or for like the NBA or something like that.
Yeah.
So coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you coming up here. I appreciate you as an artist. I don't feel like we talk as much in interaction, but I just want you to know that I appreciate you, and I think you're dope. And I'm looking forward to seeing your growth and seeing the trajectory of your career, because you're going far.
I appreciate you. I appreciate, this platform, the Artist Bloc, for giving me a space to connect with people, when we moved to Greensboro. It was a way for me to, get in the mix, but then, y'all always show so much love, you know what I mean? So everything is mutual. Y'all supporting us, with the water by having it in your space. Yeah. So I love it. And you do always show that love, when, I see you or we cross paths. So I appreciate that. And I don't take it for granted.
Okay. I appreciate it
too. For sure.
Yes. Well, that's it for this episode. You can find me on social media at Watch Trisha Schuler and all social media platforms, which is Facebook and Instagram for me. But it's all good. And we'll catch you next time.